Thank you again for joining the KOYORI online session. We are expecting a worldwide audience today, and it appears that more than 70% of the attendees are from outside Japan, and we're very thankful for that. Now, let's proceed with the introduction of our speakers for today. First, we have Ronan Bourek from Paris. Bonjour, Ronan. Thank you
Bonjour.
for joining us today.
Hello.
Next, we have Stine Gam and Enrico Fratesi from Gam Fratesi Studio in Copenhagen. Hi, Stine and Enrico.
Hi, good morning.
Hi, good morning.
It's great to have you both with us. Lastly, we have KOYORI's Executive Director, Koda, who will be joining today from Milan. Hi.
Buongiorno. Good morning, guys. 日本の皆様ご参加いただきまして誠にありがとうございます。
Thank you so much for participating. Everybody from Japan, thank you so much.
So let's begin the session then. We have received questions from the audience in advance, and I would like to start by posting the first question to Ronan and Gam Fratesi. First question is about your design process in general and specifically for KOYORI. Can you explain your design theory and what underpins your initial thought process? What is the core to your design? And then I would like you to tell us what were the thoughts you tried to consciously incorporate into KOYORI products. Could you go first, Ronan?
It's a complicated question. My design process is very linked to the different subjects, the different context. So here we were in Japan in a specific situation. Working with Japan is interesting things. It's in a certain way very simple because the craftsman, the company are so skilled, but in the same time it's quite complex sometimes in terms of communication. And we had the situation for this project that it was in a COVID period, so we had to do everything by Skype.
Recording in progress.
And exchanging different model and picture and drawing per email or per mail or by FedEx. And it was very interesting. I like to be confronted to new situations. So it was a new situation in this KOYORI situation.
Is there anything that you consciously incorporated into KOYORI products? Like any essences from Japan, anything that you specifically wanted to
Yes,
add
of course.
to KOYORI?
Yes, of course. Each project is an answer to a subject, to a question. So here it's a very specific situation of KOYORI working with two different techniques. One is plywood, the other one is solid wood. Very, very precise manufacturing. So I think I designed here things that was probably just possible in Japan because of the high level of manufacturing, the high skills of craftsmen. So yes, for me, these three chairs, and tables as a result of a very conscious understanding of the situation, the company, the possibility.
I see. Thank you. And can I pass the question to Enrico and Stine?
Yeah, I think naturally, of course, talking about philosophy and way of working for us, we are coming from two different cultures. And of course, this has been influencing our work from the beginning. We're quite lucky that we come from two very strong traditions in furniture design, and from Denmark and from Italy. And of course, our different also personality made kind of very strong contrast between each other. And this one we bring into our work in a very natural way. So we can say, of course, our studio is in Copenhagen. We are in Copenhagen now. And we work a lot with the principle of Scandinavian design based on the simplicity and working a lot with the honesty of the material. But then, of course, my origin is Italian and is always trying to bring a story into the design in very natural way. So it's not that it's forced in that, but it's kind of like our input to bring new, would say, an intellectual approach on the project. So it's not just about the material, but this something more behind that. And
yeah, I think that the invitation from KOYORI was so special and so specific because we had this collaboration with two manufacturers, as also Ronan explained, that one is working only with plywood and one is working with solid wood. We love to work with wood, and I think we had this challenge. We took the challenge to be like somehow going really try to understand both techniques and tradition of each manufacturer and try somehow to challenge, so we could challenge each other. So for instance, the Edaha chair, which is completely made of plywood, which was a very difficult chair for them to manufacture, which is actually like something which I think was very somehow extremely interesting, that we could make something so difficult together, even though there was such a big distance between us. And as well the Meow chair, which is made of solid wood. And we, of course, were very inspired by some Danish classics and the aesthetics and the functionalism, but there's also something very Japanese, I think, about the proportions and about the beautiful handcraft that Ida made. So I think that was a very interesting process.
Thank you very much. Then I would like to move on to the next question that we received from the audience. They would like to ask about who are the artists or designers who have inspired you during your career? Can you go first, Ronan?
It's difficult to be the first every time. There have been several designers that were important for me. It started maybe bizarrely by Philip Stark when I was 18. I discovered, or 17 or 16 maybe, I discovered design through him because he has a big mouth and was speaking about design everywhere. I didn't know what it means, and it was interesting to understand that there was sometimes someone behind an object, and I feel very interested by this subject. Then my mind went to Italy, which was probably the most interesting learning. It was, of course, Sozzas, Castiglioni, Enzo Mari, and another man that was important for me that died some days ago, that Andrea Bronzi was a very important figure for me, and I had the chance to do an exhibition with him almost 20 years ago. And then I came back to France, where Jean Prouvé, Charlotte Perriand, and designer from this period, so it means 20s, 30s until the 70s, were quite important figure for me.
Thank you. And maybe can you also talk about Sori Yanagi that you're always mentioning about? Because lots of Japanese audiences listening, they can relate to.
Yeah, it's a question where it's always complicated to answer because there is so many people that I like, and of course I totally forget Japan, but I just wake up 15 minutes ago after a long party yesterday, so it's why my things are not totally, but No, the first important impression for me came from Japan, from Kuramata. Shiro Kuramata was very, very important for me. Yes, when I was 18, 19, I discovered in an architecture magazine different interior design in Tokyo, the relationship with Miyake, Sotsas, and all these marvelous pieces that Kuramata did. He died so young. I would have liked so much. It would have been probably. He did already so many pieces, but it would have. Sometimes I dream about him still alive and trying to understand what he could have done in this period. And then, of course, Sori Yanagi, I was lucky to be invited very young in Japan, and I bought a book about Yanagi, just wrote in Japanese. So, but the quality of the book, the quality of the pictures, the way the picture are sequences was so clear, so interesting for me that I learned a lot from this book. So yes, Yanagi and Kuramata among some others, of course, but there were the two important figures from Japan for me.
Thank you. And then I would like to pose a question to Gamu Fratesi.
Of course, we are, again, we are coming from two different backgrounds and cultures, so that's also influenced a lot of our work. But in contemporary design, I mean, we have Ronan is one, not just because he's here, but I think he's one of the most interesting designer, contemporary designer. And also when we've been inviting to collaborate in KOYORI, we were very happy to be side on side and working on this collection, of course, ours, and he was doing his collection, but this, I think he has a very beautiful approach to have a historical reference of the masters is mentioned before, but with a completely modern approach. So it's never just our interpretation, but there is an amazing study. So we have a deep respect for his work, if we have to mention a live contemporary, because on the other side, we're very nostalgic. Because of course the Danish masters, we didn't get the chance to meet them, but
no. So of course my education was very Danish and I've been studying the Danish masters through books, drawings, furniture, measuring, workshop, and we also discovered that they were not of that many words. So we didn't really find any books. They didn't really tell their story. You have to somehow understand it through their work, which we've been doing for years then. And then suddenly, of course, starting to know Italian culture, where you have completely different way of expressing design, and you have a lot of books and even manifestos, and it's very much more storytelling and intellectual. So it's almost the opposite.
Yeah, in one way, we find a lot of inspiration in words from some also the person you mentioned, also Sotsas, Ronan, and he is amazing in his books. How much does he tell, and how much you can find inspiration by story or thought and manifesto. And on the other way, the Danish, they barely give any stories, but they left amazing furniture that for us are almost like design book. In that way. So combining these two has always been part of our research during the year. And of course, you mentioned Japanese design. So Yanagi has been also extremely important for us in this process, because both for working on the honesty of this plywood, when we're looking at the butterfly stool, on the solid wood, in the bending solid wood, you cannot look at that. Of course, we knew his work, but we went more deeper when we started to work with KOYORI, and it was amazing visiting the factory where he was many years ago there in the same condition, figured out something amazing that has not been done before. So we're definitely in the same route, but he was one of the first doing some amazing work on the design and on the wood.
Thank you. That was very interesting to hear. So I would like to ask Koda about what you felt by listening to Ronan and Gamfratese's answer. In what points did you feel that Ronan and Gamfratese's thoughts of design were incorporated to the KOYORI product?
Today's talk is so interesting and so valuable that you don't actually have to ask any question to me. I don't want to. I want to listen to the talk more and more. But anyway, so I don't know. Well, I'm not sure how the philosophy is directly connected with the product, the KOYORI products. But in my understanding, Ronan always tries to bring something new to his products, new technique, new materials, new shapes, or new manufacturing possibilities. The Kawara armchair's armrest shape, or the Musubi armchair's connection joint between the armrest and the backrest, are just great examples of how this has been fully utilized. And Enrico and Stephen, on the other hand, Gamfratese is just really good at utilizing the traditional techniques and materials, then give them new expression and value. The structure that including the connection with the backrest, the back leg, of the male armchair, and the soft motif of the male chair's edge, armrest of the edge, and the poetic shape of the Edaha chair were all wonderfully designed with Gamfratese's character. That's what I think. That's what I think.
Thank you, Koda. And the audience is also curious about how the project started. So can you explain what briefs did you give to the designers when you asked to design our first KOYORI products?
I don't know. I remember that I didn't give anything special, any specific brief to them. Through my experience, I know, when a great designer meets I know that when the designer meets a new manufacturer, we should rely on the designer's inspiration. It is just like serendipity. When a great designer meets a great manufacturer, the designer naturally comes up with the best product, best design. I simply decided to trust that. However, I had decided to develop the chair first because I felt that that chair would be the best way to, explicitly showcase the power, ability of our brand as a woodworking manufacturer. So that's my question. That's my answer. That would be my answer.
Thank you. And let's ask the designers about how this project started again. Stine and Enrico, you already gave me the answer, but would like to ask Ronan, how did you feel when Koda asked you to collaborate on this project?
Sorry. I felt well. The idea of doing project in Japan is for me two things. The first is that I know that I will have to go to Japan, so that I will eat well, and I like Japanese food so much, so it's my favorite food. Maybe with Italian food, the mix of both. So the pleasure to go to Japan and the pleasure to the discovery of, again, the culture of objects there is so refined and so specific that I learn a lot. So as I like to learn, as a designer, I'm not a specialist, I'm a generalist. I like to learn from Japan, and I'm always surprised how deep Japanese people, Japanese manufacturers, Japanese craftsmen, company, people in general, understood have a very deep understanding of the materials, the way things have to be done, and it's always a lesson for me.
Thank you, Ronan. Do you have anything to add, Stine and Enrico?
Well, I think one. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
No, good. It's for you. You
Quite wrong.
No, I have nothing to say. I think you are more intelligent, so please speak.
Now, the only thing I would like to add, Mizuki, is that, of course, as Lil mentioned before, we got this invitation during pandemic, and it was just in the beginning, and it was very interesting because we were in Copenhagen, we could not even go to Italy at that time, so everything looked very far, and Japan was even more far. It was a kind of like taking when we had the Zoom meeting, and was really like to take a journey on the other side of the world suddenly. So it was a kind of surreal. And in the beginning, we just said, when Corona had this, of course, period, that we don't start to work with any new manufacturer, because we want to work, since there was the distance, only with the people we know already, because we could just we know each other, we could follow the work in an easier way, even if we are far. But then it came this offer, and of course, it was irresistible, because there was Japan, there was a nice material, it was nice designer. So this was kind of like one beautiful moment, exception, during the Corona time, where we had a kind of like an exciting part in design, because the rest was very much, of course, digital meeting and work. So we have still beautiful memory of long meeting, and then suddenly when you are in studio, after a month is coming a big box with the chair, which you never had the chance of first to see in the factory, and it was just so beautiful. So it was just a present in the middle of the pandemic coming from Japan. So it was a wonderful story, I think, that time.
Yeah, that's really memorable too. Thank you. Okay, then I think people are quite curious about delving into each product, particularly the table that we launched globally during 3 days of design in Copenhagen, and which will also be introduced in Japan on October. So I would like to ask Ronan about the naming of the products, because it's a Japanese name, so people are very curious about. You always seem to choose interesting names for KOYORI products, which many Japanese people find thought-provoking. For Nei, for example, in Japanese, it can mean calmness, peacefulness, and at ease. And Usurai translates to thin ice. Can we speculate that each name has some significance related to the product's designs, constructions, and so on?
Yes. Name is always interesting aspect of project. It arrives at the end, and you feel very often like an idiot because you do not find a good and here I like to give name of a project name which is coming from the country where the project is done. So I am lucky to have two Japanese assistant collaborator. So it was a result of discussion, and of course it's always very complex to understand Japanese word. So I trust my assistant a lot on the essence of the meaning of it, and I was interested in a certain way in the musicality of it. What is the music of a word? What is the music of a name? So we choose these two names for two different tables. One is a plywood table, which is extremely basic, but I like it a lot. It's just a tabletop with 4 cylinders on the edge, on the corner, sorry. And for different reasons, the angle, the section of the feet, the thickness of the table, I think it's a good table. And then there is the other one, which is done in solid wood, which is more a question of sculpture, a question of the way tabletop meet feet. I cannot speak so much about this table, except that for me they are good in the context of this project and speaking well with the chairs.
Thank you. We appreciate that. Yes, Tine and Erika, the next question goes to you. Okay, Meow Table is, of course, an addition to the Meow series, which began with the armchair. The design appears very versatile, and would like to know in what kind of situations you think tables would be a good fit.
I mean, when we imagine the table, of course, we imagine this domestic area in the home, and the table is, of course, always a very important center part of the house. So, because starting a little bit before, I always had personally, but I think both difficulties in design tables. I think because it's so difficult with these 4 sticks and a top. So we always ended up to have some beautiful wooden planks in a very basic way in our home, in our studio. And luckily, taking some reference from the Meow chair, which has some beautiful edge, some beautiful shaving of the wood, then we could translate that into the table with a lot of simplicity. And then suddenly you have a beautiful table, even if it's very simple. So the top is quite light, but the legs are a little bit more heavy. And then there is a beautiful connection between the legs and the tabletop, somehow like we work for the chair. So we find some solution from the chair to bring it on the table. And that's also why we wanted to name it, Meow chair, as a continuation of this work. We solved it, but it was not easy in general working on this topic. But we're very happy with the Meow table, also with especially the round, the oval shape, because it's a kind of a inclusive shape and inviting shape around for the people around the table. So I think the quality that they managed to do it with the solid wood is beautiful. So you feel it to touch the table and feeling really close to the material.
Right, thank you.
Sorry for cutting. Just as Enrico said, the table project is basically a difficult project to work on. So that's why I was really happy that it was a first time for us to invite you guys to Japan to visit the manufacturers to check the parts prototype of each of the tables. So for instance, in the case of the Meow table, each phase, each line, each radius, or each connection are really difficult to develop. So just because we could, face to face, we could have a meeting, we could check the prototypes. So that's why everybody could come up with a good solution, good idea for each details. That's why Meow table became so beautiful. So I really would like the Japanese audience to check the new tables, which we're going to launch in the end of later this month at Sibone in Tokyo. Then on the other hand, the Ronan's project also, the Nate table, also it was really difficult for us to I don't know, this is too specific the agenda, but in order to keep the precise alliance between the leg and the tabletop, and the manufacturer could come up with a really fantastic idea to secure the ally beautiful space. So it was so nice, and the slide also, the manufacturer is not purchasing the plywood from outside. They're actually laminating by themselves. They're actually making plywood by themselves. That's why they can make such a beautiful layers for that table, right? So they including, of course, the design itself is so beautiful, but I'd like the Japanese audience, all of the audience to check the details of the plywood. It's such a piece of work. Sorry for cutting.
It's okay. I mean, we have a lot to talk about the table. So if you find Koda in Tokyo, please come and talk with him. He has a lot to talk to. Okay, so next, I would like to move on to the next question, which is directed to Stine and Enrico. It's about the installation of 3 days of design, which I have it in my back. It was an installation which is a fusion of Japanese elements integrated to classical Scandinavian architecture. So Enrico, you are Italian, Stine, you are Danish, and you are now collaborating with the Japanese manufacturers. How fascinating is it to blend different cultures into your products or projects?
No, this is you. It's difficult for me, this question.
No, I think somehow it's our favorite topic. I think because maybe also we are a couple in life and also in work. So of course we cannot run away from this contrast that we live every day. And I think we are getting more and more used to, of course, navigate by being always in contrast. And we can, of course, have many different opinions and different character. And we have a very different work process because of our personality. And I think what is important that we have somehow never really defined, but a stomach feeling, we always agree when we arrive to the result. And you can actually have that even though you are from all over. You can have that common understanding of what is beautiful, what is working, and what is design. And I think it's so interesting to work between borders and between cultures. And so for us, this is probably the best constellation and very interesting, I think.
Thank you.
And the installation that you see on the back, of course, we want to reinterpret it in a very contemporary and modern way, almost like a Japanese house in Copenhagen. We were in Christianshavn in one really old building, or green gallery, and we had the opportunity to divide the space in 3 areas. So you have an entrance area with a welcome, it was almost like a bar, which is also been used to serving and to inviting and to talk with people. Because also this is very much about the culture in Japan, is the kindness that always you have to welcome in someone. So we want some area that it was actually giving the welcome to the people visiting the exhibition. Then on the left, almost like an open space, we create a kind of an abstract Japanese garden. And the product, usually you have some sculpture, you have some beautiful stone that are defined into the garden. And we thought that these chairs are almost like sculpture, contemporary sculpture made of wood. So they are almost like sculpture. They are becoming an element of reflection. And then in the last part, you just have the steps, and then you have some table and chairs, and that will, with the screens, we almost be inviting into the home. So in that area, you can actually sit on the product, try it, and then you feel more kind of like also in a very abstract way, more like a domestic environment. So dividing these 3 areas, we thought we could actually take a little inspiration from Japan, but of course in a completely Scandinavian environment. And all the material that we use, it was just very honestly solid wood and white stone, and rice paper from Japan. So everything was very authentic. And we can create this nice exhibition in Copenhagen. So we really enjoy to have KOYORI in 3 days of design, and we hope that there will be more of this beautiful product in Copenhagen next year too.
Yes, we hope that too. Okay, so we have to cut to the chase and go to the last question. We're going to talk about the future of KOYORI. This question is directed to Koda. You have ambitious plans to establish KOYORI as a globally recognized lifestyle products brand, extending beyond furniture. Would you consider inviting the Brex and Gamfratesi to design such items as well? In addition, could you share your plan for inviting new designers?
It's a 2 questions. Okay. Well, it's totally up to, first of all, regarding the lifestyle and the accessory thing, it's totally up to Ronan and the gum footage. I believe, it would be great if they can design beautiful accessories like lighting, porcelains, rug, textile, even stationery, because we have so many beautiful accessories in Japan. But first, Japanese accessories have got to be, intensely attractive to them. And second, we need to find some great accessory manufacturers first that can represent Japan. Then we can talk about it, can we? So that's the answer to the first question. And the second question, we have idea. We have some idea, but that's a top secret. I can't talk about anything about it here, unfortunately. But you can, you see it. You see it.
We're very looking forward to expose the news very in the near future. Yes, and Ronan, do you have any thoughts about the future of KOYORI? What anything you would like to do or anything you're excited about?
I'm always passionate to do projects, so I'm already thinking and discussing about new things for KOYORI. But to do a project, sometimes it's very quick and very often it's extremely long. So I'm fighting with myself and with my assistant to do a mock-up to try to find the good answer to what I think could be a good KOYORI project. So I'm working.
Very looking forward to it. Stine and Yuriko, do you have any thoughts on the future plan of KOYORI?
I mean,
it's a very good start.
Yes.
There's a very good fundament.
For sure. I mean, it's something that we really enjoyed, and we already have something we are working on. I don't know if everything is secret with the Koda-san, but maybe we can say that it's on progress, some beautiful things. So we're very excited. Yeah, that's it. But for sure, it's been a fantastic collaboration, and we also have a lot of joy in design, and it's not only in doing design, is doing design in such a way where you're so proud of your product and you have a nice feeling when you're working together. We have beautiful memory of presentation in Tokyo, in visiting the factory. And this is, of course, we want to keep this relation together because it has been such a beautiful experience first time. So now we are looking forward for the next.
Yes, thank you very much. So thank you for the responses. And unfortunately, we need to wrap up the session as it's close to an end. Thank you all for joining us today. We really enjoyed Ronan, Stine, and Eriko's interesting and lively discussion. For those of you in Japan, we invite you to visit the exhibition at Shibone Omotesando to check out KOYORI's latest products, which starts from October 20th. Once again, thank you all for joining us today, and we hope to catch up with you again very soon. Is there anything you want to add, everyone?
I just want to say bye. Thank you this morning.
Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Now, let me tell you something, Ronan, Stine, and Rico. We're extremely enjoying this collaboration, beautiful collaboration. We're so happy to work with you guys, and all of the products, especially the new tablets we're going to launch in Japan, and then late this month. Also, one of the fantastic examples of this beautiful collaboration. So we're looking forward to working on the new project with you. Then let's roll next year as well. Okay, thank you so much, guys.
Let's meet again
Thank you
soon.
so much.
Thank you so
Yeah.
much.
チャオ。日本の皆さんありがとうございました。
ありがとうございまし
よろしくお願いいた
た。
します。Thank you, Ron. Thank you, Stine.
Thank you so
Renrico. Ciao. Have a lovely
Bye,
day.
Rona. Bye.
Bye. Ciao. Ciao, ciao.